Good afternoon and welcome to another Community Circle event. My name is Jane Michelli and I'm the Community Circle Coordinator. This afternoon, we're going to have a fun session talking all things incontinence. So without further ado, let's get started. I would first like to start with acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. For those of you that are not familiar with your site, we are a leading provider of not-for-profit services in aged care, disability, mental health and caring. We provide services for the Commonwealth Home Support Program. We do home care packages. We provide services on NDIS or the National Disability Insurance Scheme. We are funded to provide the new Carer Gateway services. We do sector support. We do private fee for services and of course our Community Circle group. For those of you that might be new to our Community Circle, it's a group provided free of charge. We like to give you lots of information on mental health, aged care, disability services, or what it means to be a carer. There's a really great time for you to be able to meet other carers either online through Facebook. We do lots of information through newsletters and of course our monthly education events like the one we have here today. We have the speakers are determined by people who actually attend community circles. So this is contributed by the group. And in fact, if there's anyone in the group that has anything particularly that they want to contribute, please send it through to me. I'd be more than interested. But each month we have speakers. At the moment, it's all online, but hopefully it will move to being face-to-face. We also do CHSP services, so Commonwealth Home Support Program services. These are entry-level services through the aged care system and you can access them through My Aged Care. As you can see there, we have a huge amount of services, not only in Northern Sydney, but also in Western Sydney, Nepean region and Southeast Sydney. Watch this space. Hopefully we'll have some more CHSP services coming in the future. At the moment, you can see we do domestic assistance in Northern Sydney, Western Sydney, Nepean region and Southeast Sydney. And then in Northern Sydney, we also do flexible respite services, home maintenance, which is mostly gardening services. We do group social support and we have our lovely Darts wheelchair bus. So for anyone that has a wheelchair that wants to get out and about and meet new people. Our home care packages, as you can see, we are quite competitive. We are very much a not-for-profit provider and we exist to try and keep people to live at home for as long as possible. As you can see there in a level 4 package, we can almost get about 17 hours a week. We also provide services through the National Disability Insurance Scheme. We've been delivering services since about 2017 and we are registered to provide services in Sydney and the broader New South Wales area. We provide services through our partner providers and we have over 100 partner providers to help us with core support services. A partner provider is one that can provide all of our support workers and they provide services all across Sydney and the greater New South Wales. We are not registered, however, for NDIS to provide high intensity care like peg feeding or nursing. And here is just an overview of NDIS services here at your side. So these are the core supports that we can provide. So we have cleaning, domestic tasks, personal care, community participation, handyman services, gardening services, and of course your allied health services. So that can be things like physiotherapy, exercise physiology, etc. Through the Carer Gateway, carers can access online phone counselling, online peer support community forums, online self-guided coaching, and then of course we've got online carer skills courses as well. We also do face-to-face services with carers. We really want carers to be supported in their role. So we have emergency respite, carer-directed support, in-person peer support, in-person counselling, community connectors, and facilitated coaching. And these are all through the National Carer Gateway services. So like I said, this afternoon, you're in for a treat. We have a really great speaker, Lisa Maunsell from the Continence Foundation of Australia. She's their health promotions officer, and she's going to talk to us all things incontinence. Amanda Bacic is our home care package consultant, and she will talk to us this afternoon about home care packages and how you can pay for things like incontinence through the home care package. A few tips and tricks so that you can maximise the services that you receive. So Lisa, I'm going to hand straight over to you.
Thank you, Jane. My name's Lisa and I'm from the Continence Foundation, and I'm going to speak to you today about bladder and bowels and health and investing in your continence with confidence. The Continence Foundation of Australia is the peak body for bladder and bowel health, and the vision of the foundation is to have a community free of the stigma and restrictions of incontinence. We work to increase the awareness on incontinence, provide education, access to support services and free resources, and we also manage the National Continence Helpline. I'll speak a bit more about the helpline as we go on, because I think that'll be really useful for you all. Today, I'm going to cover what incontinence is, who's at risk, who can help, 5 healthy habits to invest in, and give you a bit of background on the Continence Foundation and what you can access from the foundation. So first off, to understand what incontinence is, it's good to have an idea of what continence is. And continence essentially is being able to choose the time and place to pass urine or a bowel motion. It's normal to urinate about 4 to 6 times a day, and after the age of 65, it's normal not to be woken up more than twice through the night to get up to the toilet to urinate. For bowel habits, it's a bit different. There's no normal rate of going to open your bowels. It's more about what your stool or your feces looks like and the regularity. So some people open their bowels 3 times a day, and some people open their bowels 3 times a week. Doesn't matter how often, it's just your pattern, as long as it's easy to pass. Moving right along to incontinence, that means that you have the accidental loss of urine or a bowel motion. That can be from a small leak to complete loss of control, and it can happen either occasionally or frequently. Leakage or soiling is no good, no matter how much or how little or how often. In some cases also, there may be some urgency along with the need to go to the toilet. So incontinence is very common, but it's not normal. In Australia, we know that 1 in 4 people over the age of 15 has an issue with incontinence. And for women, the rate is higher. It's 1 in 3 women who've ever had a baby. And what's important to remember is that incontinence should never be considered normal. Some people think after they have a baby, incontinence just happens, or as they age, it just happens, but it's not normal. It's a medical condition and it should be addressed medically. If you have poor bladder control, you may notice that you rush to go to the toilet or leak a bit before you get there. You may be unable to hold on long enough once you've had the urge to go to the toilet. You may lose urine when you laugh or cough or sneeze. You may wet the bed, and you may get up to go to the toilet to urinate several times overnight. It may also be that you have a poor urine flow. For poor bowel control, some of the signs of this are you may find the need to hurry to get to the toilet to use your bowels, and you may soil yourself before you get there. You may be unable to control wind. And by that, I don't mean if you break wind quite a bit after having lots of baked beans, that's pretty regular. But if you were in a situation where you couldn't stop passing wind and you were really trying to, that would be poor bowel control. You may leave marks on your underwear and be unaware of it, and straining to empty your bowels is also a sign of poor bowel control. There are lots of risk factors for incontinence. Pregnancy and childbirth put a great stress on the pelvic floor muscles, and that can lead to the weakening of these muscles. When women go through menopause, the body stops producing estrogen, and this also weakens the pelvic floor muscles and can make for a less elastic bladder. So there's an increased urge to pass urine more frequently. Also with menopause, women often put on weight around their stomach, and that can put a pressure on their pelvic floor muscles. And generally, when you go through menopause, other health conditions start to kick in too. Another cause or a risk factor for incontinence is frequent urinary tract infections. If you have constipation, when you have constipation, it means that you have a weight in your bowel and that presses on your bladder. Drinking some drinks can irritate your bladder, and I'll speak of these more later. If you've got nerve damage or other health conditions, it can have an effect. Multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disorders are often associated with incontinence, and so are diabetes, arthritis, dementia, stroke, heart and respiratory problems, bladder cancer, asthma, and prostate problems. So there's a lot. Weak pelvic floor muscles will impact on your continence. And if you've had surgery, radiotherapy, or chemotherapy in that part of your body where your bladder and bowels are, that can be a risk factor. Also, smoking increases your chance of developing incontinence. And if you have incontinence, it can make it worse. Smoking is known to cause chronic coughing, which can place a tremendous amount of pressure on the pelvic floor, weakening the muscles. And it also irritates the bladder, which can cause symptoms of overactive bladder. And you should really seek out the help of a doctor or a health professional if you find you're rushing to go to the toilet, not making it in time, if you're finding it unable to hold on until you get to the toilet, or you can't control wind, passing wind, if you leak when you laugh, cough, or sneeze, if you have trouble passing urine, and if you strain to empty your bowel. You should seek urgent medical attention if any of these things are happening. If you suddenly can't pass urine, you may need to have your bladder drained. What can happen there is that an infection can happen quickly after, so you really need to get onto that straight away. If you have stinging or burning sensation when you pass urine, this may be a urinary tract infection, and you really need to get antibiotics to deal with that. If you're constipated and finding it difficult to pass a bowel motion, and then that's very hard, you really need to see to see someone to have that attended to, because it can lead to lots of other problems. And if you had diarrhea for more than 24 hours, it's really easy to become dehydrated and can lead to delirium and lots of other nasties. So don't wait around for it to just fix itself. And the people to go to help you with incontinence are your doctor, who can provide medical assessments and treatment options and sign off on funding forms, a continence nurse advisor, who is a specialist at continence. They can assess the symptoms and provide advice on management. And you can find continence nurses in community organisations, hospitals, regional community centres and continence resource centres. Continence physiotherapists, or these are sometimes called men's health or women's health physiotherapists, can assess pelvic floor function, and they can tailor an exercise program to assist. A pharmacist, while they can't do a continence assessment, can give you advice on medications that you may be taking that may be causing or aggravating incontinence. You can call the Continence Helpline on 1800 33 0066, and the continence nurses there can advise you about the location of service providers for getting an assessment. If you do have a continence assessment, you'll be asked lots of questions. It doesn't happen quickly. Some of the questions are around how often you go to the toilet, what your feces looks like, how often and how much leakage is occurring, what your fluid intake and diet are like, any current medicines you're on, any other health problems you may have, your ability to perform self-care tasks, such as toileting, dressing, and getting to and from the toilet, and any changes that you may have noticed in your behaviour before or during toileting. It's really important to inform the health professional if there's any change in these symptoms too, because they can advise you about treatment options that you can follow through with. A continence nurse is able to discuss a range of products available if you need them, and help you with how to choose these products. A continence nurse can also fit you for the products and teach you how to use and care for them. And they can fill you in on various financial schemes available to help reduce the cost of continence products. Whoops, sorry, got a bit carried away there. If you're living in a residential care accommodation or a nursing home, products are generally prescribed and funded for by the home generally. You can also tell a continence nurse if a product isn't comfortable or it leaks. It's really, it's a really important service that the nurses do if products are needed. And there's a whole range of products. There's continence pads, pad and pants, and pull-ups for both males and females. And these are just a few pictures of ones that are available. You can also get these products in disposable and reusable forms. For reusable and washable products, these can include pads and pants with built-in pants. They're good for light to moderate urine loss and for daytime wear. For nighttime wear, it depends more on the volume passed at night. Reusable products are generally more expensive, but they may be less costly over time. They do require washing and drying between uses, and they often require replacing in 6 or 12 months. You also have to follow the manufacturer's directions when washing products. For example, they don't take well to fabric softeners or bleach, as they can destroy the product. A continence nurse can help you with all this though. There are also products for bed and chair protection. You can get disposable and reusable bed and chair protectors. The bed and chair pads have a waterproof non-slip backing, and a chair pad is useful on a car, or on a car seat, sorry, or a wheelchair, or for at home on the couch. The mattress protectors can cover the whole of a bed under the fitted sheet, or be tucked in at the side with wings. And reusable bed pads or reusable bed sheets are not designed for fecal incontinence. There are also waterproof doonas and pillows available where you just wipe off any fluid. So as you can see, there's a huge range of products available, but I only showed you those to expose you to what's there. What is worth remembering is that wearing a product won't fix your continence, and there may be something behind that that is seriously amiss for you, and you really need to have a medical assessment to have that determined. So let's move right on to what you can do to invest in your continence. These, the first three things on this list about drinking, eating, and being active, you would have heard of these before, I'm sure. The next two, looking after your pelvic floor muscles and following certain toilet tips, are pretty unique to bladder and bowel health. It's really important to drink throughout the day, and water is the best drink for you. You need to drink more when it's hot or if you're exercising. And a lot of foods such as soup, custards, fruit, jelly, they have fluid in them too. So it's not just measuring out a jug full and getting through that. There's lots of fluid in foods as well. Some drinks actually irritate your bladder, and these include drinks with caffeine in them, such as coffee and tea and energy drinks and cola drinks and fizzy drinks. Also, alcohol irritates your bladder. So as Australians, I wouldn't say to you, you have to give up all that. But if you think you're drinking too much and you're having problems with urinating, then I'd look at cutting them back a bit. And a good way to check if you're hydrated, that is, if you're drinking enough, is to look at the colour of your urine. And on that diagram on the left-hand side of the screen is an indicator of what your urine should look like. So 1 or 2 is ideal, a pale straw colour. When you're dehydrated, your urine becomes quite dark. And what often follows through with that is that it promotes urinary tract infections. So if you notice your urine is concentrated or quite dark, try and go and have a drink and then see what happens. A balanced diet, I'm sure you'll appreciate that, is really good for us all generally. What your bladder and bowel really need, though, to be healthy is to have a diet that's full of fibre. And these foods, fibre-rich foods, are things like vegetables, fruit, cereals and grain foods. There's no fibre in meat or fish or dairy products or cheese. You really have to eat plant foods to get the fibre you need. And you need to eat a range of plant foods. We know too that once you juice fruit or vegetables, you get less fibre as a result. So if you can eat the whole food, you'll be much better off. For people between the age of 51 and 70, 5.5 serves, 5.5 serves of vegetables for men and 5 serves of vegetables for women a day are recommended, 2 serves of fruit and 4 serves of grain foods for women and 6 serves of grain foods for men are recommended daily. By the time you eat all that fibre, you'll find it hard to eat much junk food, I can assure you. It's worth keeping in mind, if you increase the fibre in your diet, you also need to increase your fluid intake, because you need to get the fibre moving through your bowel. We do know too that a high fibre diet can help with controlling your weight. We've got a little booklet that you can get from the Continence Foundation, and I'll talk to you about the resources in a minute. It's hard to remember all that stuff, I know. This is called the Bristol Stool Chart, and it was developed to help people to recognise what their stools or faeces, whatever you want to call it, what it's looking like and what that's indicating for your bowel health. Types 1 and 2 up the top are hard, dry, and very hard to pass. If you're doing bowel movements like that, you probably aren't having enough to drink. At the other end of the scale, type 5, 6, and 7 are very loose bowels, soft, and number 7 is liquid, like diarrhea. And those sorts of bowel movements would indicate that you're not having enough fibre. The ideal type of stool is type 3 or 4, something that looks like a sausage from the Bunnings sausage sizzle. And I'll just leave it at that because I know you'll remember that. And if it's easy for you to pass a stool or a bowel motion, then that means you're doing well as well. It's important to be active for lots of reasons. Any movement can help. You don't have to join a gym particularly, or a netball group. You can garden, walk, hang out the washing, dance. Walking with friends is really good because you tend to go more so that you can get the gossip. And if you aim for 5 minutes, if you aim for 30 minutes a day, 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there, it all adds up. This too will help you to maintain a healthy weight, and it actually helps with increasing your energy levels, improves blood circulation and stronger bones and muscles and joints, and can improve your strength. So it's really worth investing in being active. Now, you may not have seen a picture of your pelvic floor before, but here we go. What I'm going to do now is play 2 short animated videos because I think they describe this much better. If you have good control of your pelvic floor muscles, that really helps with your continence. So let's have a look at the women's one first.
The pelvic floor is the base of the group of muscles referred to as your core. These muscles are located in your pelvis and stretch like a hammock from the pubic bone at the front to the tailbone at the back, and from side to side. They support the bladder, bowel and uterus, and play an important role in bladder and bowel control and sexual function. If your pelvic floor muscles don't work well, you may leak when you do things like coughing, sneezing, lifting, laughing, or exercising. To stop this from happening, you need to switch on your pelvic floor muscles. To switch on the pelvic floor muscles, you need to squeeze and draw in the muscles around your vagina, as if you are trying to stop the flow of urine. Lift them up inside. Breathe normally. Don't hold your breath or tighten your buttocks. Then let go and relax the pelvic floor muscles completely. Notice as you tighten and lift your pelvic floor muscles, they tighten and close around the anal passage, vagina, and urethra. By exercising the pelvic floor regularly, you will train your muscles to work automatically when they are needed.
Oh, sorry. Silly old me.
The pelvic floor is the base of the group of muscles referred to as your core. These muscles are located in your pelvis and stretch like a hammock from the pubic bone at the front to the tailbone at the back and from side to side. They support the bladder and bowel and play an important role in bladder and bowel control and sexual function. If your pelvic floor muscles don't work well, you may leak when you do things like coughing, sneezing, lifting, laughing, or exercising. To stop this from happening, you need to switch on your pelvic floor muscles. To switch on the pelvic floor muscles, you need to squeeze and draw in the muscles around the base of the penis, as if you are trying to stop the flow of urine. You should see your penis draw in and your scrotum lift up. Breathe normally. Don't hold your breath or tighten your buttocks. Then let go and relax the pelvic floor muscles completely. Notice, as the pelvic floor muscle tightens, the anal passage closes. The same action happens to the urethra. By exercising the pelvic floor regularly, you will train your muscles to work automatically when they are needed.
Oh, sorry. Those animations you can watch again. It's really useful to actually see them, because it's very hard to imagine all of that going on inside you. But once you get the knack of lifting your muscles up and holding them, after about 2 months, you get really good control of your bladder and bowel. So, it's worth doing. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is some toilet tips. And I don't know about you, but when I was young, my mother used to say, don't sit on the toilet seat if you go out, just don't put your bottom on the toilet seat. Something will happen. And it's only recently, since I started working at the Continence Foundation, that I was told that this was actually quite stressful on your body, and you're much better to sit on the seat. This diagram shows you how it's best to sit on the seat. If you can put something at your feet so that it lifts your feet up a bit higher and your knees are slightly higher than your hips, and lean forward with your elbows on your knees, that's actually a very comfortable way to go to the toilet and puts you more into that that natural position of squatting. So try and do that if you can. When you do go to the toilet, it's important to empty completely. You don't, you know, your urine and feces are waste products. You don't want to hold on to them. That's not a good investment. So try and get rid of it completely and take your time. And it's important to wipe your bottom from the front to the back, because this will stop cross-contamination. So that's that. Now, one of the things I spoke of before is the National Continence Helpline. This number is on all our resources, and we're sending you, Jane will send you after this talk a list of things to help you along. But it's a free call from a landline, 1-800-330-066, and that will put you through to a continence nurse advisor. The line operates Monday to Friday from 8 until 8, and these continence nurses all have a wealth of experience, and they still work in clinical settings. So there's nothing you can ask them about continence that they won't be familiar with, I can assure you. They can also talk to you about what financial assistance you can get if you've had a continence assessment and you need continence products. And they can assist with accessing a range of information and support services. They can provide online and paper resources. And also, if you don't speak English terribly well, or if English isn't your first language, you can call the TIS line, 13 14 50, say the language you want to speak in, and then ask the interpreter call the Continence Helpline on 1-800-330, and they will translate for you between you and the nurse. These calls to the helpline are confidential, and it can be the best thing you can do in working out what you need to do next if you're having a problem with your continence. The Continence Foundation has a website, and there's lots of information on that. The screen you can see at the moment is you can access all the information in 29 different languages. So you could click on one of these tablets and it'll take you into an area where you have the spoken translation, or you can download translations. There's lots of information there for men, women, children, talking about pelvic floor muscle exercises, constipation, diet, prostate problems. All the resources from the helpline are free, from the Continence Foundation are free, and you can also download them or call the helpline and have them delivered. This is a range of some of the resources we have. There's a magazine called The Bridge that comes out once every 3 months, and it has some case studies in it and research, things like that. There are brochures on all sorts of topics. There are specially designed brochures for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. There are fact sheets and brochures in the 29 languages I described to you. And in the middle of the screen down the bottom, there's the Healthy Diet and Bowels booklet, which is really useful. This is something that you may find really good. I know I certainly do. It's called continencesupportnow.com, and it's a free app. You can put it on your computer or mobile phone or iPad, and it's an online pocket guide, and it gives bladder and bowel support. It was designed for in-home disability and aged care workers. So each of those little icons on the screen is the door that opens a wealth of information behind it. There are topics such as skincare, assistive technology and products, catheters, diet and exercise, mobility and toileting, and it's really, really useful. It also clearly advises you when to escalate care to a registered nurse. I don't know if any of you have heard of the public toilet map, but this is another government designed app that really helps you if you're in an area that you're unfamiliar with and you need to use the toilet, and that wouldn't be unusual, would it? You can put it onto a mobile phone, a smartphone, or you can ring the helpline and they can help you. And it gives you the placement of over 19,000 public toilets across the country. It can also show you which toilets have things like disabled access and baby change tables. So that's good. When we're able to travel again, you could test it out. And this is wonderful. For someone who has a disability, is wheelchair bound, or has incontinence, you can get what's called a Master Locksmith's access key. And this is a key that gives you 24/7 access to all the disabled toilets in Australia. And it really helps people to be able to get out and about rather than feel they're trapped at home because of incontinence. Oh, I think I've talked myself out. I hope you're not sick of hearing from me. Now, I haven't seen if there are any questions, but hopefully as we move on, we'll be able to address those.
Oh, thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Jane.
Lisa. That was amazing. And I don't know about everyone else, but I was doing my pelvic floor during that talk. So yeah, and I have to admit, I do get a bit lax with my exercises, and I have had children. So thank you. Now we do have the chat function at the bottom of the screen. So I do encourage everyone that's here today to send any questions through. We will be doing a Q&A at the end. Or if your question comes to you in the middle of the night, you can send it to me in the email, because that's often when we do our best thinking, isn't it, in the middle of the night. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Amanda Bacic, and she's going to talk to you about home care packages and talk a little bit about some of the things Lisa covered as well around products and purchasing and things like that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Amanda again. Thanks so much, Amanda, and Lisa and I will turn ourselves off.
Pleasure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just share my screen. There we go. So my name is Amanda Bacic, and I am a home care package consultant for Your Side. Today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the incontinence products you can get with your package. Also, a little bit extra information about what other things you can receive through there. So with incontinence products, you can utilize your home care package for any items you need. So that includes your pads, liners, undies, nappies, any waterproof bedding, which Lisa went through as well, including for your chair or a car or the wheelchair, and any floor protection as well, which is needed. Also, if you do end up getting a permanent catheter, all catheter products can be purchased through your home care package, as well as in-home nurse to do the change every 4 to 6 weeks. It is good to know as well, if you do have a level 1 or a level 2 home care package, you can access community nursing, which is a free service that can do the catheter changes, as it does get quite costly on the lower packages. Now, all these items need to be budgeted in your home care package funds, and there is no limit to the amount you can spend on these items. Now, the other available funding you can access, which I think Lisa mentioned prior, is the Continence AIDS payment schemes, the CAPs. So that is another government funding you can access, and your GP would fill out the form for you. And you do receive a yearly amount of $623.80 this year, and it can be a lump payment or a split payment you can receive. And you can use that for all kind of your pads and liners and items such as these. Now, it's also good to know what your home care package can be used for as well, as a lot of people just know the basics of having a care worker come in. So you can utilise it for any fall detect dependent alarms, as well as GPS search as well. Any allied health services such as physiotherapy, chiropractor, podiatry, even an in-home hairdresser. Even items like art therapy as well, which is very helpful for dementia clients. Any home modifications needed, such as railings, light fittings or fixtures. Mobility equipment, such as walkers, wheelchairs, even for frames. And items such as hospital beds, lift chairs and shower chairs. You can also utilise your package for meal preparation, which is a care worker coming in and preparing your meals. There are actually meal delivery services as well that you can utilise. Now, your package would pay for the meal preparation and the delivery, but it wouldn't pay for the physical food. So out of your pocket, it would be approx 30% of the amount, and the rest would be billed to your package. And you can also access your social support group outings, and these are also under the Commonwealth Health Support Program as well. And even getting a care worker taking you to places that you enjoy, which is a little bit tricky for you to do on your own, such as getting to the beach, going for a coffee, any art museums, the zoo or the movies. There are necessary white goods that you can purchase through the package, and also things like iPads and phones, which can connect you to your family, and things like exercise bikes and air purifiers. Now, with the Carers Gateway, that is another funding you can access, and this is for anyone who does have carer strain. So you can have a home care package, and if it is fully allocated, and for example, the carer needs to go to the hospital and needs some additional assistance while they're away, you can access additional funding through the Carer Gateway program. Your Side Australia, as well as Benevolent Society, does look after this all over New South Wales. And there are things like social groups and counselling as well that you can access through there. So it is a great additional avenue for carers who are feeling the carer strain. And that's about it for me. Thank you very much. I will stop sharing. There we go.
Thanks so much, Amanda. As usual, that was amazing and interesting and informative. Home care packages are just, look, once you're on it, as we know, there's a big national waiting list. I think we've got about 100,000, maybe more, waiting for home care packages. And just actually a little side note, the Royal Commission into Aged Care is happening at the moment, and they're looking at hopefully wrapping that up this week. So watch this space. So if we do see something from the Royal Commission, we will post something on our socials. Lisa, I'm going to invite you to pop your camera and audio back on. And at this point, we might do a little bit of Q&A. Now, nothing's come through on the chat as yet. But lucky for my panel, I can talk under 10 tons of cement. So I've got loads of questions. I'll start with you, Amanda. How many do you sort of find that people come for their home care package with an already diagnosed incontinence, or does it sort of, do you see a bit of a mixed bag with all of that?
It is a bit of a mixed bag. Usually if someone is on a level 3 or level 4 home care package, they will have some type of incontinence issue. I do have quite a lot of clients that do end up on a permanent catheter as well in interim. So it is really good when they do have that. They've got the support of a home care package, and we can, arrange the nursing to come and do it in their home so it's more comfortable. And the hospital gives me all the items which need to be ordered, and I get that delivered to the home. So it is very, very helpful for them if they are able to access a home care package.
Fantastic. And before they get into a home care package, there are other allied health services they can access, because I think physio, is that correct, Lisa, is probably a good service if people are starting to struggle with things around incontinence. And so, Amanda, are there services people can access before they get on a home care package with allied health?
Definitely. So there is the base level Commonwealth Health Support Program. So if you are over 65, you can call up my aged care and just explain your current health situations and what you find difficulty. So physiotherapy is something you can access, and you usually pay a gap fee of $20 per service. And as mentioned, if you do need a catheter and you're not on a home care package, you can access community nursing, which is a free service, and they would come to your home and assist you that way. You would just need to pay for the products yourself, but they would bring it to you on the day.
Fantastic. Excellent. Lisa, yeah, just got to turn your microphone on.
Sorry, if I can just add there, if you need physiotherapy to learn how to do the pelvic floor exercises, you really need to hook up with a pelvic floor physiotherapist, because that's a specialised training. And you can call the helpline and they can tell you where you'll find one close to you. And Amanda, that's something that can be, you can get financial assistance with too, but it is important that the person has training in the pelvic floor, because it's quite, if you do the exercises the wrong way, you can create problems. The thing I always remember, and, I'm doing them now, just like you, Jane, is that if you're holding your breath while you're doing them, you're not doing them properly. If you're holding your breath, you're exercising your diaphragm, but you're not much is happening down below. So I think the animations actually really help you to visualize where it is. But if I can just share with you, there was this great story that one of the Continence nurses told me of. A 92-year-old woman called the helpline last year and said she'd only just found out about the helpline, blah, 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 and had a long chat. And she said, I've been leaking for 30 years and I've just decided it's time to do something about it. She'd just been wearing sanitary pads. And the Continence nurse got her in touch with the pelvic floor physiotherapist, and 2 months later, she was fixed. Now, that poor lady went for 30 years, trying to deal with it. It was such a shame, but it goes to show that it can be really, really beneficial. If you can learn how to do it, it's a really good thing. And like you, Jane, I think the thing to do is to make it a habit. So I always do mine when I'm doing the washing up, because I seem to be forever doing the washing up. And I don't even think about it now. I don't know how clean the dishes are, but I know my pelvic floor is great.
That's a really good tip, Lisa. I've actually moved into a house that doesn't have a dishwasher just yet. So
there you go.
At the moment, forever washing dishes. So I'll do it now.
And if you're just starting to try and do the exercises, the easiest way to start off is lying in bed before you get up, because you've got no pressure on your pelvic floor. And generally, there's not too much going on around you. So you can sort of engage it in that quiet time and practice a bit. And you can do them anywhere. One man said to me once, do you have to do your pelvic floor exercises on the floor? And I thought, well, you sort of do. Your feet need to be on the floor at least. Although they don't, do they? What am I saying? No, he thought if he couldn't lie down on the floor, he couldn't do them.
Oh, so, goodness. I love that. Yeah, I think, and yeah, it's grabbing those quiet times, isn't it, that you can just do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And actually I joined a small group training gym a couple of years ago, and pelvic floor strengthening was actually part of the warm up at the beginning of every session. And so it was actually really quite funny because the trainer would stand there and go, right, you have to do it for a minute. And we'd be like, easy. And 30 seconds in, we were all getting to that point where we all stopped breathing, because it's actually, if you've not been working the muscle, it's really quite exhausting. And you really realize how much.
You know, like everything else, if you never work your arm muscles, it's hard when you start, and then you get a bit easier, and then you're blasé and you're lifting weights and all sorts of things. So like all your other muscles, if you can strengthen them, they do improve over time. And it's one of the few things you can do for yourself that can have a really profound impact on your aging.
Definitely. And I have to say, Lisa, I really liked the Bristol stool chart. I say to everyone, I'm a social worker and I've worked in hospitals, and the main reason I got into social work, because it was in social work or nursing, I didn't want to do with poo or blood. But in social work, I've managed to come across all of it. And, you know, being a mum, I've got a young toddler, you know, we're dealing with the poos and the wees and everything else. But in all of that exposure, I've never come across the Bristol stool chart. So I think that's a fantastic resource. Yeah, everyone that's attending today will actually get a copy of our presentation. So you'll all get a copy of the Bristol stool chart that you can put up in the appropriate location in your home. And yeah, email me, let me know where you guys actually jump on the Facebook group. I want to know where people, if they were to put the chart up, where would they put it?
Right. Interesting.
You have enough toilets to keep it private. I don't know. And then the other thing that's a really good resource is that toilet map, because I think that's been, as people get older and a bit more frail and a bit more concerned about accessing the community, I think toilet is sort of one of those really big things, isn't it? So
it can really isolate people if they're concerned about embarrassing themselves or not being able to clean themselves when they go out because of having a problem with their bladder or bowel. And it'd be a wonderful way to get around Australia. That's, you know, as soon as I retire, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that my phone in my pocket, and I'm going to hit all the public toilets all around the country. There'll be no stopping me.
I love that. And you can, isn't there like a toilet movie, an Australian movie, like with Kenny or something? And I don't know, you could send him an idea for a script. I don't know, I could see that.
Yes. Oh, don't tell anyone, Jane. I better get him on board.
We'll just keep it privately between us and the 20 participants we've got here in the group.
I should tell you something else too. I've just thought, if we've got a minute, have we got a minute?
Yeah.
The Continence Foundation is about to launch, or we've sort of launched, a campaign called Bins for Blokes. And this is around getting waste disposal units in men's toilets.
Oh. Because
we know that men have issues with continence too. I didn't realise, I thought all toilets had disposal units in them, but I'm a woman, and in all the women's toilets they do. But we're just trying to get a bit of gender equality happening out there, because men need to dispose of continence products when they go to the toilet. They shouldn't have to drag them back out with them, and a lot of them don't even have, well, you know, the products have to go in, should be going into special disposal units anyway. But we're really trying to address that thing of just making it normal. So you may hear a bit, it'd be wonderful to have Kenny on that.
We should get him, definitely. How hard is it to get a celebrity? Do you know, it's interesting though, because there's a and we've actually just had a comment come through, because a lot of community centres, you know, where we have a lot of our meetings with aged care and disability, I don't go into the men's toilet, but it's something that I might raise actually, because I feel that we're probably going to do that. And yeah, we've had Becky say that that's a good point, Lisa. My son has that problem when he changes himself. So well,
it's I mean, I'm so sorry, Becky. You know, as women, I don't think we realised that there was something we had that the men didn't. And now, of course, you know, we can appreciate that as mothers and sisters and wives. That's an awful thing to have to put up with. The other thing, Beck, that you might find useful for your son is that Master Locksmith's key, because in those disabled public toilets, they often have change tables and a bit more space to be able to clean yourself, or have someone, you know, help you to clean up after. I mean, it's just a matter of dignity. And if we don't rattle the cage about these things, those people are going to be poorly done by.
Absolutely, because it's not just people with disabilities or aging as well. You know, I had a number of patients when I was working in hospital that once they became palliative, one of the things that started to go was issues around incontinence, and at that end stage of life, it was difficult for them to do anything to sort of support better continence control. And you know, if you're kind of coming up to the end of your life, you'd like to still go out to the community and do lots of
course.
That's a really good point. There was another question. Oh, and the Master Locksmith key, how do you actually access that one? Is that through the Continence through the Helpline?
I'll actually put it's on that resource sheet I sent you, and that's got links on it. And it costs $20, but that's because the Master Locksmiths designed the lock, and, you know, they have to be paid for. And you do need to have a sign off from a doctor or a continence nurse to get it. But if you had maybe, I don't know, does your side have a community bus or anything like that? It'd be really handy to get one for that. I'll send the form separately, because it's a really useful thing, and a lot of, you know, you just don't know about it.
Absolutely.
But it is on that resource sheet. And I don't think I've sent Jane a handout that she's going to pass on to everyone with links to things like that animation about the pelvic floor, so you can watch that before you go to bed, and lots of different resources that you can access. And keep in mind, it's all free. It's the government. So if you don't use it, it'll be taken away. You know, make sure you download everything.
Yeah.
You can download, or rather you can order resources at your side, and they'll be delivered for free. So
yeah, and we're more than happy to do that, everyone. So I'll send out an email after today's event. You'll receive your email tomorrow, and that'll have all the resources and everything on it. And if you have any questions, you can come straight through to any one of our team, and they can point you in the right direction. And so the Master Locksmith key, Amanda, I imagine that's something that we could pay for in the package. Would that be?
Yeah, exactly. I do have a couple clients that have it, and you can get reimbursed for $8 through the package.
And look, this is interesting, but you don't have to, the disabled toilets in the ACT aren't locked. It's only us ruffians in New South Wales. I think that's extraordinary. Anyway.
Ridiculous.
I can appreciate why they've had to lock it, though. I don't know. I suspect there's been some naughty behaviour. So
yes, it'd be distressing for people, though, if they were trying to access it for the right reason. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And what else did I want to ask you about? Look, I think that's pretty much my questions. Amanda and Lisa, do you have questions for each other at all?
I'll think of something when it ends.
No, that's it. I think middle of the night, that's when we all do our best our best thinking. But actually, no, the one comment I wanted to make was interesting. I was telling a few of my friends that I was hosting this event.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, having a bit of a laugh. We can have a bit of a laugh in this like little protected forum, but in real life, it is really quite stressful for people.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine just went, well, you know what? I've never had children. I'm never having children, so I don't need to worry about my pelvic floor. And I was like, I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure that's a muscle you've got to exercise all the time. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, it's often only women who've had a baby that are alerted to that fact. And so that makes it, that's not great. It's one of those things, if you're carrying a bit of extra weight too, that's something you can sort of work on. But you can, if you can work out how to exercise those muscles, the pelvic floor muscles, that can keep you independent for a really long time. Being incontinent is one of the top reasons people end up in care. So anything you can do to starve that off beforehand would be great.
Yeah. And there's been definitely through COVID, there's been a bit of a reluctance for people to enter into residential care for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And there's actually a little comment here that says they liked the animation. So
good.
Send it out to your friends, guys. What we're sharing today is for the whole world to see. So but look, we don't have any more questions. I'm going to quickly just share my screen one last time. And I just want to say a massive thank you to Lisa and Amanda for your time this afternoon. There's a big team that actually goes behind these events each month as well. They know who they are, but look, a big special thank you to Emily in my team. She helps us with all of our graphics and makes us look a lot more professional. And a huge thank you to my boss, Brittany Jack. She actually came up with a wee problem as the title of event. So if you need anything named, come and talk to Brittany. She's quite clever and quite wacky. Next month, we are going to do it on Zoom, although I'm looking at maybe pushing the boundaries of social interaction, and we might be able to do this face-to-face. And I've got some speakers for the Royal Commission into Violence, Abuse, Neglect and Exploitation of People with a Disability. This Royal Commission is happening at the moment. It has been running concurrently with the Aged Care Royal Commission, but like I said, the Aged Care Royal Commission is wrapping up, and I will be releasing a newsletter with some content around the Royal Commission. The event, I will do my best to make it a little bit more of a positive, light-hearted event. There'll probably be some trigger notes in it as well, so do attend perhaps with a little bit of caution. But like I said, we will be trying to do this in person, so I can just see our executive team sitting there shaking their heads saying, no, Jane, no, but we'll see. We might be able to get some face-to-face happening this year, which would be really, really lovely. But all I would like to say at this point is, look, thank you again to my amazing panelists. Thank you for coming and joining us this afternoon. It's really special to me to have people that are interested in these different topics that are coming through. Join our Facebook group, look out for our newsletter. And if you have any questions, send them through to communitycircle@yourside.org.au. And without further ado, I'm going to say, see you later. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.